There was once a rich man whose wife lay sick, and when she felt her end drawing near, she called to her only daughter to come near her bed, and said, "Dear child, be pious and good, and God will always take care of you, and I will look down upon you from heaven, and will be with you." And then she closed her eyes and expired. The maiden went every day to her mother's grave and wept, and was always pious and good. When the winter came, the snow covered the grave with a white covering, and when the sun came in the early spring and melted it away, the man took to himself another wife. The new wife brought 2 daughters home with her, and they were beautiful and fair in appearance, but at heart were black and ugly. And then began very evil times for the poor stepdaughter. "Is the stupid creature to sit in the same room with us?" said they. "Those who eat food must earn it. Out upon her for a kitchen maid." They took away her pretty dresses and put on her an old gray kirtle and gave her wooden shoes to wear. "Just look now at the proud princess, how she is decked out," cried they, laughing. And then they sent her into the kitchen. There she was obliged to do heavy work from morning to night. Get up early in the morning, draw water, make the fires, cook, and wash. Besides that, the sisters did their utmost to torment her, mocking her, and strewing peas and lentils among the ashes, and setting her to pick them up. In the evenings, when she was quite tired out with her hard day's work, she had no bed to lie on, but was obliged to rest on the hearth among the cinders. And as she always looked dusty and dirty, they named her Cinderella. It happened one day that the father went to the fair, and he asked his 2 stepdaughters what he should bring back for them. "Fine clothes," said one. "Pearls and jewels," said the other. "But what will you have, Cinderella?" said he. "The first twig, father, that strikes against your hat on the way home. That is what I should like you to bring me." So he bought for the 2 stepdaughters fine clothes, pearls, and jewels, and on his way back, as he rode through a green lane, a hazel twig struck against his hat, and he broke it off and carried it home with him. And when he reached home, he gave to the stepdaughters what they had wished for, and to Cinderella he gave the hazel twig. She thanked him, and went to her mother's grave, and planted this twig there, weeping so bitterly that the tears fell upon it and watered it, and it flourished and became a fine tree. Cinderella went to see it 3 times a day, and wept and prayed, and each time a white bird rose up from the tree. And if she uttered any wish, the bird brought her whatever she had wished for. Now it came to pass that the king ordained a festival that should last for 3 days, and to which all the beautiful young women of that country were bidden, so that the king's son might choose a bride from among them. When the 2 stepdaughters heard that they too were bidden to appear, they felt very pleased, and they called Cinderella and said, "Comb our hair, brush our shoes, and make our buckles fast. We are going to the wedding feast at the king's castle." Cinderella, when she heard this, could not help crying, for she too would have liked to go to the dance, and she begged her stepmother to allow her. "What, you, Cinderella," said she, "in all your dust and dirt, you want to go to the festival? You that have no dress and no shoes, you want to dance?" But as she persisted in asking, at last the stepmother said, "I have strewed a dishful of lentils in the ashes, and if you can pick them all up again in 2 hours, you may go with us." Then the maiden went to the back door that led into the garden, and called out, "O gentle doves, O turtle doves, and all the birds that be, the lentils that in ashes lie, come and pick up for me. The good must be put in the dish, the bad you may eat if you wish." Then there came to the kitchen window 2 white doves, and after them some turtle doves, and at last a crowd of all the birds under heaven, chirping and fluttering, and they alighted among the ashes. And the doves nodded with their heads, and began to pick, peck, pick, peck, and then all the others began to pick, peck, pick, peck, and put all the good grains into the dish. Before an hour was over, all was done, and they flew away. Then the maiden brought the dish to her stepmother, feeling joyful, but the stepmother said, "No, Cinderella, you have no proper clothes, and you do not know how to dance, and you would be laughed at." And she added, "If you can pick 2 dishes full of lentils out of the ashes, nice and clean, you shall go with us," thinking to herself, "For that is not possible." The maiden went and cried, "O gentle doves, come and pick up for me." So there came 2 white doves, and then some turtle doves, and at last a crowd of all the other birds under heaven. And before half an hour was over, it was all done, and they flew away. Then the maiden took the dishes to the stepmother, feeling joyful. But she said, "All this is of no good to you. You cannot come with us, for you have no proper clothes, and cannot dance. You would put us to shame." Then she turned her back on poor Cinderella, and made haste to set out with her 2 proud daughters. And as there was no one left in the house, Cinderella went to her mother's grave, under the hazel bush, and cried, little tree, shake over me, that silver and gold may come down and cover me." Then the bird threw down a dress of gold and silver, and a pair of slippers embroidered with silk and silver. And when the evening came, she wanted to go home, but the prince said he would go with her. But she escaped him, and jumped up into the pigeon house. Then the prince waited until the father came, and told him. The father thought, "It cannot surely be Cinderella," and had the pigeon house cut down, but there was no one in it. When they entered the house, there sat Cinderella in her dirty clothes, for Cinderella had been very quick. The next day, when the festival began anew, Cinderella went to the hazel bush and cried, little tree, shake over me." Then the bird cast down a still more splendid dress than on the day before, and when she appeared in it, every one was astonished. The prince took her hand and danced with her alone. And when the evening came, she wanted to go home, but she broke away from him, and ran into the garden at the back of the house. There stood a fine large tree, bearing splendid pears. She leaped as lightly as a squirrel among the branches. The prince told the father he thought she had gone up into the pear tree. The father thought, "It cannot surely be Cinderella," and called for an axe, and felled the tree, but there was no one in it. And when they went into the kitchen, there sat Cinderella among the cinders, as usual. On the 3rd day, Cinderella went again to her mother's grave. Then the bird cast down a dress, the like of which had never been seen, for splendor and brilliancy, and slippers that were of gold. And when she appeared at the feast, nobody knew what to say for wonderment. The prince danced with her alone. And when it was evening, Cinderella wanted to go home, and she ran past him so quickly that he could not follow her. But he had laid a plan, and had caused all the steps to be spread with pitch, so that as she rushed down them, the left shoe of the maiden remained sticking in it. The prince picked it up, and saw that it was of gold, and very small and slender. The next morning he went to the father and told him that none should be his bride, save the one whose foot the golden shoe should fit. The eldest went to her room to try on the shoe, but she could not get her great toe into it. Then her mother handed her a knife, and said, "Cut the toe off, for when you are queen you will never have to go on foot." So the girl cut her toe off, and went down to the prince. Then he took her with him on his horse. They had to pass by the grave, and there sat the 2 pigeons on the hazel bush, and cried, "There they go! There they go! There is blood on her shoe. The shoe is too small, not the right bride at all." Then the prince saw the blood flowing, and took the false bride home. The other sister must try on the shoe. She got her toes in, but her heel was too large. Her mother said, "Cut a piece off your heel." When they passed by the hazel bush, the 2 pigeons cried, "There is blood on her shoe, not the right bride at all." Then the prince looked at her foot, and saw how the blood was flowing. "This is not the right one," said he. "Have you no other daughter?" "No," said the man. "Only my dead wife left behind her a little stunted Cinderella." But the king's son ordered her to be sent for. Cinderella had to appear. First, she washed her face and hands quite clean. She sat down on a stool, drew her foot out of the heavy wooden shoe, and slipped it into the golden one, which fitted it perfectly. And when she stood up, and the prince looked in her face, he knew again the beautiful maiden that had danced with him, and he cried, "This is the right bride!" The stepmother and the 2 sisters were thunderstruck, and grew pale with anger. But he put Cinderella before him on his horse, and rode off. And as they passed the hazel bush, the 2 white pigeons cried, "No blood on her shoe. The right bride is she, after all." And they came flying after, and perched on Cinderella's shoulders. And when her wedding was held, the false sisters came, hoping to curry favor. As the bridal procession went to the church, the pigeons pecked out one eye of each of them. Thus, they were condemned to be blind in one eye for the rest of their days because of their wickedness and falsehood.